Happy Christmas. Yalla be Rabbi Bo. Happy Christmas. Yalla be Rabbi Bo. Happy Christmas. Yalla be Rabbi Bo. Happy Christmas. Rabbi Bo. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. Rabbi Bo. Maman te verbe. Ça c'est beau. So happy Christmas.
Oh, we love you, Lord. We bless you, Lord.
necessarily president of the Republic of Liberia.
Yes, glory and power, Lord, we give to you.
You may have your seats.
brief minute. At least if I can pray for 169 minutes, that would be great. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Oh God, we have assembled here to give you thanks. To say thank you to you for what you have done and continue to do for us. Today, oh God, we happily, joyously celebrate 169 years of our independence. During the years, oh God, from the beginning up to now, there have been challenges, there have been struggles, but you said, fear not, I am with you. Because you have been with us, and we continue to be with us,
Listen, you have
we
to go
come
a
here
little
to
bit
say the
inside,
word,
because this is his
today
place.
is our birthday. So Lord, the one you have,
No, you have to dress.
chosen to speak to us, to tell us where we have been and where we are going, we want you to bless you. We thank you for our leader or leaders
Just go a little bit.
who have continued to conduct the activities of this nation. Bless us as a people. Make this program to be a wonderful program so that when we leave from here, we say, yes, indeed. We and our friends from far away have really celebrated your goodness. And so, be with us now in your name, in your Son's name, and in the name of the Holy Spirit. Let the people of God say, Amen.
Republic of Liberia and its Writer, Honorable J. Eric Styles, Speaker and members of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ahmad Lulu Dara, President Pro Tem and members of the House of Senate, Your Honor, Justice Francis S. Cooper, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and members of the Associate Justice Supreme Court, the Dean and members of the Cabinet, Your Excellency, the Doyen and members of the Diplomatic Corps, and members of the Consular Corps, the Special Representative of the Secretary General and heads of international organizations, the orator of the 169 Independence Celebration, and Mrs. Nyan, Chief Zanzankaba and members of the Traditional Council, the President and members of the Liberian Council of Churches, the Chief Imam and members of the Muslim Council, the business community, the President and members of the banking institutions of Liberia, members of the folk estates, youth leaders, women organizations, the people of Massachusetts County, ladies and gentlemen. As Liberia celebrates another year of independence with the theme consolidating progress through transformation, let me firstly extend our appreciation to the Almighty God for another year of sustainable peace in our nation. Our gratitude goes to the first female president of Africa, the first female chairman of ECOWAS, Her Excellency Madam Kathy Johnson Sally, for selecting Massachusetts County to host this all-important program. This county, where the Declaration of Independence was signed 169 years today, hosts over 50% of the country's population. It is also the host of the national government, and it is indeed the melting pot of Liberia. As we celebrate this day, let us be reminded of the development as well as the transformation that is taking place throughout this nation, especially in Massachusetts County, under the stewardship of this dynamic president. Our dignitaries, officials of government, ladies and gentlemen, let me on behalf of the peace-loving people of the first county, Massachusetts, welcome you to this all-important celebration. As we celebrate another milestone in the history of our nation, let love, tolerance, and unity be our theme song, because Liberia is the only place we call home. Once more, let me welcome you and wish you have a wonderful program. May the Lord bless our state and save our nation. Thank you.
The proclamation will be read by 4-year-old Miss Kulwonsie Sanga of the Waradi Academy.
A proclamation by the President, whereas in his infinite goodness and mercy, God has blessed and prospered the work of their minds. At the hand of all the people of the Republic of Liberia, from July 1847, when this nation was declared a free, sovereign, independent state, and from then through the years of our legendary life, manifold and varied have been the experiences of the nation and its people, who through it all have been able to cross their way by peace and perseverance, devotion, and the courage comes. Whereas after this deliberation on the future of the settlement and facing colonial challenges and threats, the founding fathers established to the world that historic and immortal instrument known as the Declaration of Independence, by which the Commonwealth of Liberia became and was presented to the unity of nations as a free, sovereign, and independent state, never rising up the question from any colonial power and becoming the first independent African republic. Whereas it is his right under our binding duty in faithful recognition of the blessings in miraculous deliverances which his almighty hand has extended to us as a nation and people. Although we have been most worthy of them, to give thanks, adoration, and praise unto him for saving their state and to commemorate the great and sanctification of our Soviet on 26 July 1847, and whereas under the patriotic Alpha Law, Title 26, Liberian Code of Law of 1986, the 26th day of July each year is set aside as a public holiday to be known as the Independence Day, and the appropriately celebrated and whereas the official festive celebration of the day will be observed in the city of Monterrey County, under the theme consolidating progress toward the foundation. Now, therefore, elections of and the proclaim Tuesday, July 26, 2015 as Independence Day to be observed throughout the Republic of Liberia as a national holiday and do call upon all citizens of the Republic and all foreign residents within our borders to observe their sins and such and require that all governments offices and the business houses be closed on this day from 6 o'clock after meridian to 6 o'clock post meridian. Further, I do one upon actors, invite and request of citizens instruments to relation with hospitals, priests, deacons, evangelists, imams, elders, and other members of the sacerdotal order, regardless of religion, creed, to gather together with one purpose in their respective places of worship in each particular village and ethnic, especially in the city of Monrovia, Mosarado County. On Friday, July 22, 2016, and Sunday, July 24, 2016, and the upper tank on the pedestal was quiet blessings toward open housing house and the present time and the discipline quiet continuing goodness and the benefits to work out people as the nations of the earth, especially the people of the Republic of Liberia, given under my hand of the Republic of Liberia in the city of Monrovia, county of Mosarado, the 6th day of May in the year of our Lord, 2060, and of the independence of the Republic, the 169 celebration President of the Republic of Liberia. Still, by order of the President, Madam D. Camara, Minister of Foreign Affairs.
We shall have our seats, and we will now prepare our hearts to receive our Independence Day message, oration. In so doing, we want to invite Mr. James Dougbeh Jala Jr., a student of Skeleton Academy, who will introduce our national orator.
For Liberians striving to achieve excellence in diverse ways in an effort to meaningfully contribute to the rebuilding of this great nation. I'm particularly humbled to introduce to you Dr. Dougbeh Nyan, who will be speaking on the theme consolidating the progress towards transformation. Dr. Dougbeh Nyan is a proud son of Liberia who has made headway in the field of medicine and is now a respected household name specifically in the area of biomedical sciences. Hailing from Kelekpo Refugee County in southeastern Liberia, he is the son of the late Charles S. Dougbeh Nyan and Joyce Nyan. Dr. Nyan graduated from the Monrovia College and Industrial Training School in Monrovia. He then matriculated into the College of Science and Technology at the University of Liberia, where he began to pursue a degree in zoology and chemistry. As an undergraduate student, Dr. Nyan served as chairman of the Student Unification Party, SUP, and acting president of the Liberia National Students Union, LINSU. Unfortunately, he was expelled from the University of Liberia and imprisoned in 1988 as a result of his activism for democracy and human rights. Against all of the ensuing odds, and in his quest for excellence, Dr. Dougbeh Nyan later enrolled into the Hamburg Universität zu Berlin in Germany, where he earned a degree in human medicine. Instead of performances, he later completed his postdoctoral fellowships at the prestigious National Institutes of Health, NIH, and the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine in the United States of America. In recognition of his growing influence in his discipline, Dr. Nyan was selected as an Oak Ridge Institute for Science and Education Research Fellow with the U.S. Food and Drugs Administration's Laboratory of Emerging Pathogens. He will also work as a scientist at the Viral and Vector Disease Department of the United States Naval Medical Research Center in Maryland. In an effort to impart knowledge, Dr. Nyan taught medical microbiology pro bono as a visiting professor at A.M. Dougherty College of Medicine of the University of Liberia from October 2005 to February 2006. Trained in infectious disease research, Dr. Nyan has almost 2 decades worth of experience working in public health systems, in pathogen diagnostics, and the development of affordable diagnostic tests for underprivileged communities. As a testament, Dr. Nyan invented a non-invasive and affordable diagnostic test for Helicobacter pylori infection 17 years ago, which has changed the way stomach ulcer infections are now diagnosed. More recently, Dr. Nyan joined the ranks of a respected field in his discipline when he invented a rapid multiplex quantitative diagnostic test that can detect and simultaneously identify many different infectious pathogens. His test can detect pathogens such as Ebola, HIV, Zika, Plasmodium, yellow fever virus, dengue virus, hepatitis B, C, and E, and West Nile virus, to mention only a few. These career milestones were published in quality scientific peer-reviewed journals such as Infection and Immunity, the International Journal of Infectious Diseases, clinical infectious diseases, and the Nature scientific reports, which recently published Dr. Nyan's multiplex diagnostic test invention. Passionate about service to humanity, Dr. Nyan selflessly dedicated his service to the fight against the deadly Ebola virus that plagued this nation and its neighbors. Voluntarily serving as director of the Secretariat of the Diaspora Task Force of the Ebola crisis, a position he still occupies, he testified before the U.S. Congress on the Ebola crisis in West Africa, advocated for sustained and coordinated international support for Ebola-affected countries, advocated for the creation of Center for Disease Control in Africa, conducted infection control awareness campaign in Ebola-affected regions, and coordinated diaspora medical relief to Ebola-affected countries. Dr. Nyan also served on the Joint Data Safety Monitoring Board, DSMB, of the WHO USA West African Ebola vaccine clinical trials conducted in Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and the United States. Dr. Dougbeh Christopher Nyan is a recipient of the German Academic Exchange Service Scholar Award, the Faculty International Exchange Scientist Award, and the Intramural Research Training Fellowship Award from the National Institutes of Health. He is a member of the International Society of Infectious Diseases and the European Society of Clinical Microbiology and Infectious Diseases. A proud son of this great nation, a renowned biomedical research scientist, an inventor, and a political activist, Dr. Nyan embodies the ideal role model for the youth of Liberia today. Today, the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. quoting the Enchuo, quote, "Human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. The tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals." End of quote. Your Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Dr. Dougbeh Christopher Nyan. Thank you.
Our prophet is not expected in his own home, but it seems that this is the opposite. It feels extraordinary to be recognized by your own people. No matter how many accolades you receive out there, it feels just extraordinary to be recognized by your own people. And I thank you for that. After our very bright 4-year-old came here, I have a very big shoes to fill. I am very happy to be back home on the soil of Liberia, the land of the free. A country in which my neighbor's strength was buried. Over the years, I have come to observe that no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what you have become over the years, your heart still yearns for your natural point of origin.
Yeah, but
and
this
birth.
was the problem from the beginning.
And so I am back home and very thankful to Her Excellency, Madam President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and the people of Liberia for this great honor to serve as National Orator. It is pretty unusual because I will usually be called to make scientific presentations. It's an honor because this year marks the 169th Independence Day commemoration. Times have changed, as this instance has indicated. Mine standing up here with my background suggests that this nation has come a long, long way. We really live in a unique country, the great, and I will always call Liberia the great, just as they call United States the great. And we are, our governmental system and every other system is formulated after them. So these days I call Liberia the Great Republic of Liberia. Standing at this podium to deliver what is one of the most honorable orations in our country. That is why I must thank you again, Madam President, and the people of this country. At this juncture, I would very much appreciate for everyone to please stand and let us observe a moment of silence for our compatriots who passed during the past time, and particularly so during the deadly Ebola outbreak in the three countries which I usually now call the triplet countries, Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. This silence also goes for Minister McLean, who also passed recently. Thank you. Madam President, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Mr. Vice President, and His Excellency Joseph N. Boycott and Mrs. Boycott, members of the legislative branch of both houses present here, members of the diplomatic corps and foreign dignitaries present here, representatives of the Mano River Union, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, of which our distinguished leader is head, the United Nations, UNMIL representatives who have kept the peace for our dear country, officials and leaders of political parties present, the gallant people, sons and daughters of Liberia here at home and abroad, people of Africa, the global human collective, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly 169 years ago, our founding fathers bravely declared Liberia's independence to the whole world. As of this day, in 1847, Liberia became a sovereign nation, making Liberia the first independent democratic country on the African continent during the period of colonialism. History documents that Liberia was never colonized nor occupied by any European power. Today we gather in this great hall celebrating another year into our existence as a sovereign nation. Men, women, and children in villages, in towns and cities all over this nation, and in the diaspora are celebrating this historic day. Thus, we gather here mindful of the fundamental human principles upon which this nation was created. It was founded on the basis of freedom, justice, liberty, and a respect for human dignity. While I do not intend to lecture you on the history of Liberia, I nevertheless invite you to take a brief reflection of the struggles and the yearnings of our founding fathers for this nation. Freed or escaped from slavery, our forefathers returned for this beautiful and peaceful land to establish a country of free men and women in the 1800s. Encountering series of conflicts and their resolutions of peaceful coexistence, Liberia was founded, and our founding parents finally realized their dreams of returning to their continent of origin, from slavery, from servitude, and from the dehumanizing conditions in the Americas. From then on, we, as the people of this nation, established a democracy and embarked on building a nation that was envisioned to be a replica of the social, economic, and political system of the United States of America. The similarities in our flags, the accent of our parlance, which are all influenced by them, is a vivid indication. Throughout history, we are reminded of what occurred among us as a people and citizens of this nation. We witnessed a series of conflicts between what we describe as the settlers and the Aborigines. We partially resolved that. We went through a period of struggle for multi-party democracy. We made enormous progress in attempting to achieve that. Then we experienced the military coup d'etat of 1980, which trampled on the little democracy and the democratic footprints our foreparents had established. And this threw us backward. Then came the 14-year Civil War, which rained death on the people and destroyed everything that this nation has struggled to build. The Civil War destroyed our infrastructure, destroyed the fabric of our society, destroyed precious lives, internally displaced our population, and sent Liberians into refugee camps and dispersed us all over the world. We thought all hope was lost. But when the last peace accord was signed, and our brothers and sisters who were bearing those arms killing each other stood at the Gibraltar Bridge, I don't know if they're still called that way, laid down their weapons and their weapons of civil destruction, and shook hands with each other, we once again regained our hopes and acquire renewed spirit. We require a renewed spirit, that resilient, passionate Liberian spirit, which ushered in the birth of our democracy in 1997. Then in October 2005, Liberians again boldly demonstrated their will to bounce back. Again, a democratic elections were held, that which produced the first democratically elected female president of Africa, Her Excellency As we gather here today in this great hall, we should ask ourselves, after 169 years of existence, what have we done? What have we achieved? What accomplishment can we make better? What could we tell our foreparents if they were sitting in this pavilion with us today? You see, it took about a combined 142 years to build Liberia by ourselves without any colonial power. Then, it took us as little as 10 years to destroy what we built over 142 years. So, when you go through the mathematical and scientific and psychological analysis, how long do you think it would take us to rebuild this country and bring it back just to its pre-war status? Let us think about that for a moment. Anyway, did we make any progress? I pose this question in a way specifically highlighting the war progress because I see the glass as half full as an optimistic individual. That I'm optimistic about the future of this country, the Great Republic of Liberia. Some may say yes, some may argue no. To me, either answer is relative. Because we have made some progress, yet still there is a lot to be done in our democracy, in our educational system, in our healthcare system, in our economy. On gender issue, I have 4 beautiful girls, and so gender issue concerns me a lot. I take that passionately and declare myself one of the most active female activists. On my way here to this great Republic of Liberia, I met a young man to planning. While waiting to board our flight to Brussels, I engaged him in a candid dialogue about Liberia and its future. And he confirms that some progress has been made, but there were challenges. Well, with my thought and his thought, scientifically that's too small to come up with conclusions. Thus, when I was asked on the topic to speak on the topic consolidating progress towards transformation, I quickly came to the realization that our discussion should not be fixed in this direction. You know, scientists always like to change things. I rearranged it in order to open up a national dialogue, utilizing the upgraded topic, requirements for consolidating the progress toward transformation of Liberia. I believe by this, as a people emerging from a civil war, we will set guidelines, benchmarks, and properly suggest practical approaches for consolidating and transforming Liberia to meet the challenges of our time. First, let us look at it from whence we recently emerged. For a long time, the Liberian people have opted for a peaceful and non-violent democratic change and transformation of government. When, in April 1980, the military intervened and ruled our country for about 10 years. Then, in December 1989, a civil war was launched in this country that led to the killings of over 250,000 innocent people in Liberia and lasted for about 14 years. Did these events solve any problem at all? Did they only create a vicious cycle of bloodshed, agony, despair, destruction of infrastructure, and national setback in our onward march to progress? Well, the guns have been silenced long since. Refugees have been returning home, and people have been trying to rebuild their lives. As we can see, this country, the great Republic of Liberia, is on its path to progress. However little or steady or slow that progress may be now, this country is on its path to progress. We can see, as one of the notable achievements, every Liberian in the world can undeniably point to the fact that Liberians have lived in peace for the last 10 to 11 years already. Madam President, we wholeheartedly thank you and the people of Liberia and the international community for keeping the peace. That is a notable achievement. Living in peace, having a peaceful mind in the day and at night, comparably, is far more than living in a skyscraper. Peace is what we need. Peace is that which we cried for yesterday. Peace is what we got when our African brothers and sisters and the international community intervened in our crisis. Now that we have peace, we must strongly protect it as a precious commodity. We cannot allow this peace to be threatened by anyone. No, never. That is why the Liberian people must unite against individuals who will attempt to start another war in this country. In River G, Maryland, Grand Crew, Grand Gila, and Sinop, we want no more war. In Lima, Bonn, Lopat, Maryland, Buffalo, we want no more war. In Grand Crew, Grand Gila, Sinop, Montserrat, Magili, Grand Cape Mount, we want no more war. We are tired. In Bombing and Riverside, and any country that I may have not named, we want no more war on this soil. All we want is peace. Anyone who wants war, if you want war, let's fight. But you know what we're going to fight? We will fight poverty. And fighting poverty, we will fight ignorance. In fighting ignorance, let the pencils be our guns and let the papers be our bullets. In fighting, we will fight diseases. In fighting diseases, let the syringes be our guns and let the solution be our bullets. We will still fight. If you want to fight, let's fight corruption. In our fight against corruption, let sincerity be our guns and honesty be our bullets. and you're still not tired, you still want to fight, let's fight. If you want to fight, let's fight against hatred. When we fight hatred, let love be our gun and peace be our bullet. Let us encourage each other with progress and progressive ideas, fellow Liberians, so as to rebuild this country once again and make Liberia the pride of Africa and the envy of the world as it used to be. This is Liberia. This is the Liberia I know, and we must continue to build. The achievement of peace provides us an opportunity, and at the same time imposes upon us an obligation of rebuilding our democracy. In the process of raising our country from the ashes of war, we have encountered numerous challenges as a nation. These challenges are not unique or created by the Unity Party. These challenges are not created by the Congress for Democratic Change. These challenges are not created by any political party or any specific individual. And so, we have to meet these challenges head on, embrace it, and address them so as to uphold institutions and maintain national existence together. We are aware that throughout history, democratic nations have grown and societies have survived because they have been able to establish governing institutions and strengthen their administrative structures. One way of achieving this is ensuring mutual respect, first and foremost, for each other. The rule of law must supersede individual status in society or position. It must respect the rights of the common man. Tribalism and active politics must give way to our common national interests. The role of the watchdog groups must increase. Institutions like the press, advocacy groups, civil society groups, and all entities that have crucial role to play in sustaining our democracy must step up. The expression of free will and political demonstrations should also, on the other hand, not take the form of violence. They have to be peaceful because we are striking for peace. And it should not go in the destruction of property and innocent people and businesses. As we discuss transforming the Liberian society for a better future, let us look at an important indicator of development, the challenge we face, and how we mitigate them. One such challenge is in our population illiteracy. UNESCO 2010 data showed Liberia with a youth literacy rate of 54.5%, having 64.7% male and 44% female. The adult literacy rate show almost similar pattern. And my greatest concern here again is the female. Not necessarily that I'm not on the side of the male, but we know that low levels of literacy and education in general can impede economic development in a country in this current rapidly changing technological driven world. We agree that the devastating war led to the destruction of educational infrastructure and the flight of trained teachers, thus contributing to poor quality education, secondary and tertiary education in the country as well. Far more concerning is the increase in gender gap, whereby the female gender is lagging behind in almost every country of the third world. So it is not unique to us. While international aid may help to address these problems, we cannot surrender our responsibilities to these outside agencies. We should establish programs that will address these situations. What we need is the requisite financial and material support and the proper accommodating atmosphere here at home. This will attract highly skilled Liberian educators who are capable of performing the identical task of educational reform so that this important aspect of our life can be handled by people who know the culture of the people they're going to deal with. We must ensure that the teachers who teach our children are themselves well trained to be in the classroom. And if they are well trained, in order to maintain them, just as they do in the West, teachers should then be given good incentives to keep them in the classroom. And their places of assignment. We can take advantage of our own teacher training institutes that we have. The Kakata Rural Teacher Training Institute is also a Rural Teacher Training Institute, and one has just been reopened in the River area in Webo. Our educational system must transition from producing graduates with employable and marketable skills. It must also focus on vocational education. In this vein, I propose the establishment of a program that will recruit skilled educational experts from the diaspora of Liberian and African origin around the world, providing them incentives and bringing them back home to work in curriculum development, teacher training, engage in teaching and overall reform of our system in order to transform the Liberian educational system to surpass that of the first world system. Liberians are smart people, and I tell you that. You saw an example just moments ago. Whatever any foreign expert is brought in this country can do, I can bet you, I believe for Liberians to do equally better. Over the last century and a half, we have been riddled with a silent question about our national outlook. We are Liberians. That I know very well. But what have we discussed? When have we ever discussed or talked about examining our national identity? That is, what defines us as Liberians? Do we really know that? Have we ever talked on that? What really binds us together as Liberians? What can we point out as the single most uniting force, principle, or philosophy that connects us to each other? These are important questions that we must ponder over. At this critical juncture in our national existence, we cannot wait any longer on theories. Instead, we must act and take practical steps in defining our national identity. If you were thinking, and I was also thinking in the meanwhile, then allow me to suggest this if there is none that we can really point to. Given the circumstances under which we have endured throughout the time, then we need to mobilize around the spirit of unity. We need to be more united than ever before, because there are things and elements that divide us at some point in time. We need unity more than ever before, as we have recently emerged also from a period of self-destruction through the civil conflict. I believe that there is much more that unites us as Liberians and people of Liberian origin than that which divides us. For if we are united, we can draw up our strength enough, work together, and consolidate any progress we accomplish, and build a viable nation that generations to come will appreciate. My fellow countrymen and women, unity is a required element and driving force in the transformation of this society for a better Liberia. So let us unite. Liberia and its growing democracy has come a long way. Significant strides have been made towards the goal of consolidating a workable democratic process and culture that the Liberian society is now experiencing. Again, after the brutal war, we have had 2 successive democratic elections. Elections in which several political parties participated, with over 15 or 20 political parties in a little population of 4.5 million people. My dear countrymen and women, Liberia can literally boast of practicing multi-party democracy during the last 10 years. This is something we should be proud of, which demonstrates a notable achievement by all Liberians and our leadership. In Liberia's political past, opposition political parties were seen as enemies and banned from operating. Opposition leaders and student leaders were often imprisoned and forced into exile. Today, we are witnessing an emerging atmosphere and a period wherein political parties are operating practically without fear of being shut down. No democracy is perfect. Just watch what's going on in the United States. You will see that no democracy is perfect. But they try to make it work because they put a system together. What we now have is a working that can be built on. Political parties and their leaders have to be committed to democratic values that we have established and we are building upon. Democratic values that will make the Liberian democracy better. Also, we must institutionalize the core values of democracy and deepen its practice in order to avoid another breakdown of our society in the future. We have to practice the kind of constructive politics that engages the Liberian people and allows for popular participation in national life. Therefore, fellow Liberians, let your voices be heard through the ballot box without resorting to violence. All of us have the responsibility to consolidate and maintain this peace and this democracy and all the gains that we have made in the last several years. The opposition have been doing very well on their part thus far, and there is a role and contribution that the media and civil society group have also been playing in consolidating and democratizing our transformational process in the Liberian society. I have hope, and I want you to share that hope with me, that the interests of Liberia shall prevail. And let us always put Liberia first before ourselves. As I previously said, none of us can claim that our growing democracy has been all perfect. And you know, all around the world, no democracy will tell you that it is perfect. The British just went through a democratic process of wanting to exit the European Union. And they wanted to exit. But the next morning, they regretted the decision. And they wanted to change. But that's democracy. You can't do it just automatically. So there lies some of the bittersweet aspects of democracy. In the Republican Party, we got a candidate. In the Democratic Party, it is moving on. So all over the world, there's just something with democracy that is very unique and is also beautiful to see if you are a tolerant person. Political institutions, as we said, must transform themselves as well. Let us come together and unite for a singular purpose of sustaining the new democratic path and our future, so that future generations will treasure it. The single most important act by our current president, and let me say, because this is important, with all the problems our democracy has experienced in the past, and what we see occurring in other African and other developed countries today, let us take keen pride in the fact that Her Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, respected the Liberian constitutional term limit and is not going for a third term. That is a democratic achievement. We are seeing what's happening in other countries presently with third term. But it has put them in a constitutional crisis. But here we are, celebrating independence today, not fighting each other because we respected the Constitution to this point, all of us. Congratulations, Madam President. If I knew how these post-presidential awards were given, I will recommend to Mo Ibrahim that she be a candidate for one of those awards. Now you can see that instead of constitutional crisis, everyone is gearing up for the 2017 elections. Looking forward to it with enthusiasm. And this will be the third election we would have had since 2005, at the end of the civil conflict. As the next electoral season draws nearer, I humbly caution all political parties leaders against making inflamed statements that will have the propensity of leading to violence. Or intimidating the voters. Remember that you as opposition have a big role to play in nurturing and growing democracy. Your contribution to the transformation of this country requires you to constructively critique the government, analyze government policies without malice, you can criticize in a mature way. Use facts and evidence, not innuendos. You should also suggest practical solutions that will move the country forward. This requirement is fundamental to consolidating peace and progress in this country's transformation process as we move towards getting our democracy to be a viable one. Consolidating the democratic gains and transforming our society must go hand in hand with good governance. Our governance structures must fully empower the Liberian people so that they are able to express grievances, seek justice and fair play, as well as demand and shape better policies. Marching into the future, we must ensure that public institutions are able to effectively and honestly manage public resources and conduct public affairs in a manner that is free of corruption and abuses. and uphold the rule of law. We must boldly hold our leaders accountable for their actions as public servants when they abuse their powers or indulge in corruption. And this is exactly what the Liberian people have witnessed in the last several weeks, when the government initiated legal actions in the quote-unquote civil mining company alleged corruption case that involved government officials. Both the Liberian people and the international community have applauded the government for the action taken in this case. Because it brings confidence to this common man, indicating to the simple person like myself that no one is above the law and that all Liberians belong to this country. I applaud the efforts of our fellow Liberians who have returned to help in the rebuilding process of our great nation. It takes sacrifices and love for country to leave the luxury of Europe and America and Australia and its advanced Asian countries to come home to contribute to the rebuilding process of our country. You have endured and stood the test of time, and for this I must say thank you. I also say thank you to other nationals from other countries who have come to contribute to the rebuilding process of Liberia. To Liberians living in the diaspora, we have the internet through which probably these messages can be transmitted. I admonish you to evaluate your individual circumstances and consider returning home to contribute to the reconstruction and transformation of this country. I was here in 2005 on a visiting professorship, teaching at the University of Liberia free of charge, teaching medical microbiology to 2 classes. It was the 4th-year students whose academic calendar was interrupted due to the war and who would not graduate because they didn't have that class. Then, from my observation, I saw that first-year students needed a class because if they didn't have it, they would go 4 years like the 4th-year students without having that class and they wouldn't graduate. And so I combined both classes and asked the first-year class to tighten their belt. But normally, and this is why I continue to say Liberians are really smart people. Both first year and 4th-year classes did the course with me for a whole semester from 2005 October to February 2006. And they were successful. Our skills and expertise in business, medicine, science, technology, agriculture, and other areas of discipline are needed to propel Liberia through the challenges we are facing. As this is a two-way avenue, we are requesting also very kindly that the government of Liberia should please play its part by creating an atmosphere and conditions that will encourage and incentivize us to come home with our expertise. This is not to say that Liberian diaspora has been neglecting Liberia, for which I'm calling on them specifically. Far from that, the diaspora has played and continues to play a crucial role in supporting the transformation of this country. Our efforts should be recognized not because of the monetary contributions to the economy through remittances. During the Ebola crisis, as you might have heard in the introduction, Many organizations of Liberian origin grouped themselves together under the umbrella Liberian Diaspora Emergency Response Task Force in order to help the country and the region in the fight against the Ebola epidemic. We collaborated with several international and local groups, including philanthropic and peace organizations in the South region, and helped with medical supplies and other relief. I was privileged to come in contact with the Honorable Vice President when he visited the United States in August of that year. And we had some very beautiful exchanges and very good cooperation. Things that were needed immediately, we would rush around and try to get them on the first plane that was leaving. Dr. Pickett was also involved. And this is the kind of collaboration and cooperation that we're talking about between those in the diaspora and those at home. I testified before the U.S. Congress then, and present was Honorable Siwa Kuko and Honorable Komene Wise. In that testimony, we advocated for relief supplies to be sent because when everything took place in terms of the outbreak, our observation was that the French went to Guinea, the British went to Sierra Leone, and Liberia was left alone like a stepchild. And so, by the grace of God, with this SOS call from Madam President and our own lobby, we were able to informed the U.S. government, and they committed 3,000 soldiers to Madame, and they committed 1,000 civilian personnel from a mixture of CDC, NIH, and people within the public health of the U.S. government. Our mother, the United States, came to our aid. And we thank you very much for that in this public manner. Also, the Chinese, the Cubans, and others came to our aid. We also requested kindly that we needed a Center for Disease Control to be constructed, because if we had that capacity and technocrats, we will be able to fight back until probably we were a little worn down before we call for help. The classic situation is whereby Nigeria was able to contain the Ebola crisis while the United States was still struggling with it. Because the Nigerians had their Center for Disease Control already ready and in place, and when they had a first case, and the reverberation of that case, they quickly arrested it and contained it. In the United States, in the public health, we were panicking. But coming from Liberia and knowing what malaria does and how other diseases do, we were prepared to say that our people will fight back. And we congratulate you for your resilience. Also, in the diaspora, medical expertise, including myself, worked with other scientists and doctors during the Prevail vaccine trial in order to ensure that the clinical trials were conducted with ethical and internationally acceptable standards. We would like to thank and applaud the Liberian government for its decision to allow the trials to take place. Because That's how it is all over the world. This is an exceptional contribution that Liberia made to medical science, but most people don't recognize that. In our search for vaccine against this deadly virus, the people of this great country who stood in the front line deserve a very big thank you. This is the Liberian spirit that I know. This is the Liberia that I know, and we must continue to build. But Ebola is not gone away. From a professional standpoint, we've already seen some flare-up in recent months which were contained. We are also confronted with a multiplicity of other infectious diseases in this region. Malaria, typhoid, Lassa fever, tuberculosis, HIV, you will need them. Dengue has been spotted in this region. This is why we also want to propose that Liberia commit a good share of the national budget to health in general. And I will reiterate my call again for the establishment of a Center for Disease Control specifically for Liberia. We need to train public health professionals, at least at the master's degree level. We should not be contented with the haphazard short-term 3 months training that people give our people and call that few public health training. It is not sufficient. They are not even half-baked. We need any assistance that will come to us to please be a full one whereby our capacity will be substantially built. We need to train our own Liberian corps of scientists who will devote their time to the biomolecular studies of infectious diseases, including the Ebola and all these diseases. Now we have Zika virus that is going around. We need to closely collaborate with our colleagues in the region. We need to study the disease ourselves. Once provided the opportunity, we have experts of Liberian origin who can study the diseases and study post-Ebola patients to follow them up to find out how they survive, what caused them to survive, and whether the virus is surviving within them dormantly anywhere. That will allow us to follow the pathogenesis of the virus. Well, we do not need to look too far. For standing before you is your own son, who has, as you heard, invented a rapid and affordable test that can detect many infectious pathogens at the single time. In this public manner, Madam President and the government of Liberia, and you being at the head of ECOWAS, in consultation with my research team, I'm proud to declare that we are prepared to make my invention and our technology available to Liberia and the West African sub-region. To collaborate with you and invest in its development, production, and commercialization for humanitarian purpose. That's the very reason why I came up with that, so that the poorer countries will not struggle to have simple diagnostic tests that will cost them millions and millions of dollars. This, I think, is a practical path to transforming Liberia and the African diagnostic capability and other countries in improving the healthcare system, not only in Liberia, but in the world, because it is utilized globally. As we celebrate our 169th independence today, it would not be fair if we ignore the concerns of our women. This is a situation that is a challenging quality of life in the general population, disparity, and other uncountable problems. We have to collectively address these problems. While government is in charge with the responsibility of providing a programmatic framework to address the gender question, government alone cannot solve these problems. So we should not always say everything government, government, government. First, it has to start from the decision made in the homes about available opportunities. In the family, parents will have to understand that girls have the right to go to school, just as boys. Girls must be given the same educational opportunities just as boys. We must remove those adverse cultural practices that create barriers towards schooling for girls and reinforce the importance of investing in the future of our young women. God did not create women only to bear children. Why can we still see that women can be ministers, doctors, lawyers, pilots, and presidents? So, to my dear Liberian men, let us ensure that our daughters, our wives, our sisters, mothers, and aunties are first respected and provided the same opportunities available for the male gender. Women, I'm really with you all the way. But men, you know we know each other. Growing up in this country, we live in a multi-ethnic community, and we live in multi-ethnic communities. We play with and went to school with children of other religions and Christian denominations. We saw the Jehovah's Witnesses distributing their watchtower booklets all in the communities. We also saw some of our friends of the Seventh-day Adventists going to church on Saturdays. We saw ourselves going to church on Sunday. Then we also saw our neighbors going to the mosque on Friday. Long ago, when you get to Benson Street on Friday, the whole Benson Street is closed off because our Muslim brothers were having their prayer and prayer time with God. And those things didn't bother us back then. It was normal. So, the relationship has been peaceful all along, and we accommodated each other. And so, one virtue that is required is tolerance.
Yes.
They created the Constitution they did for each and every one of us to have the right to practice whatever religion we want to practice. This has worked for our democracy over the years in this country. Therefore, my fellow Liberians, we should not invite or create a Christian-Muslim conflict in this country. Because the conflict does not exist. So why should we generate it? Let us advocate for the interests of Liberia, a Liberia in which our republic has no religious designation, not an Islamic or Muslim republic, not a Christian republic, but the great and only Republic of Liberia. When we look around us, we see other societies moving ahead and advancing in science and technology. They are progressing so much that when you look at our situation, you wonder what is holding us back. Thus, what interests me recently was my interaction with few of our educated friends on the social media called Facebook. And it became so interesting. There was a post showing an Ethiopian weaving the traditional Ethiopian fabric using the traditional fabric weaver that is made of sticks and some ropes. Very old traditional technology, but functions very well. And people were making comments, and so I commented, since we are always in the business of trying to advance technology, I said, and I quote, this technology, this traditional African technology needs to be modernized. Because you can really modernize it. Then I saw someone replying to my comment and saying, we do not need to modernize an authentic African tradition. When I looked again, I saw another post coming out saying, I agree with the first one. The authenticity of tradition remains as is. Although change is good, we lose the richness of our heritage and modernization and upgrades. Well, I was totally shocked about these responses to a simple comment that I made to advance a technology. Then I quickly realized that our desire to progress in a society is sometimes held back by the resistance of some of our own members of the society, who do not understand the contemporary need for technological advancement. Is it not possible to turn the pulley that they are making through rope or with rope, to turn the pulley rope into something mental, like those mental ropes that pull up the elevators? That can be done. Don't you think the sticks can be changed to iron or some other metal? That can be done. In this age of technological advancement, that can also be automated, and the producer does not have to stay there utilizing the strength, and it can produce what you want to produce in 10 minutes, what you would have done in 5 days. Here, I am advocating for technological advancement, while two other educated people were promoting backwardness and stagnation. They will want our children maybe to still be using slates and chalk instead of notebooks and pens. Maybe if you put them in position, they will want us to still be using typewriters instead of computers.
But if you don't,
they will probably still want to ride on donkeys instead of automobiles. And they will want us to still be using and sending telex instead of using emails. Then, interestingly, that is this past. And these two persons were communicating their message, interestingly, using high-speed internet and computers. But they are arguing against advancement. And so these are some of the situations we have in society. Society will always be like that, opposing views, opposing forces. But that contradiction can be resolved, and the resolution of that contradiction always propels society forward. Madam President, and people of this country, this great Liberia, in order to be able to compete in almost every aspect of global activity, we need to technologically equip our people. May the government please continue its good efforts in rehabilitating the Mount Coffee Hydro Plant, which is almost complete. Thank you very much. And other electrification projects that are going on around the country. Please continue the hard work in paving the roads to extend the road from Ganta to Maryland, Kepamas, and from Bong to Lofa. See, I have a particular interest here. I am advocating for the extension of the road from Ganta to Maryland. When it reaches Maryland, it's going to pass through Liberia'S. As progressives, progressives are advocates for the oppressed and for equal rights in society. We dedicate our lives to the struggle with passion, not for money. We made enormous sacrifices during our time in the fight for social democracy, justice against the military dictatorship in the 80s. We did not waver. We did not sway. We stood stiff and faced brutality. We stood stiff and faced prosecution. We stood stiff and faced mock execution. Some of our colleagues at the time would have been executed, but were squared. Take a look at the current progressive trend in the Democratic Party of the United States of America that has adequately sharpened the debate on equality and social justice in America this year. Their convention is going on today, simultaneously as we are having our independence today. So my fellow Liberians, being a progressive is something to be proud of and nothing to be ashamed of. We are very appreciative and will continue to fight with freedom-loving people all around the world, and we will not apologize for that. Do it all over again. Long live Liberia. Thank you, Madam President. My two kids are here. Their first time seeing their homeland. Ladies, 4 and 6. Now, every day before they go to bed, they are fighting over nothing else but River D t-shirts. So, in the near future, how can this debate go that you will not allow them to call Liberia their home? The dual citizenship question continues. To our legislators, lawmakers, senators, representatives, please open your hearts. Please open your hearts. Other countries have advanced simply from their citizens having dual and triple citizenships. Please open your heart. Do not take a decision like the British did and regret it the next morning. We have also always had a very good relationship with Togo. You will note that during the 1910s, 20s, there was a great Togolese migration into southeastern Liberia. They occupied Maryland and where is now Liberia'S. And so we've always had a good relationship with our Togolese brothers and sisters. And you can hear those names. They don't even know what part of Togo they come from now. You can hear Ayele, you hear Koko, you go down south, you hear Kojo. They are all Liberians. I'm proud, Madam President, to tell you that I got one Togolese for myself. So Togolese solidarity and Liberian Togolese solidarity will forever be strong. Oh, I am so glad to be home. I thank you so much, and let us start working in order to put this country back on its feet. Thank you, Madam President.
You may have this seat, ladies and gentlemen. Doctor of Medicine, National Orator, and Distinguished Public Servant, July 26, 2016. You are the son of the late Charles S. Dougbeh Nyan and Joyce Tuila Nyan, hailing from Kilipo, Torokan, Towokoran, Liberia'S County, Liberia, and educated at the Monrovia College and Industrial Training School. Later, you studied zoology and chemistry at the College of Science and Technology at the University of Liberia, where you were expelled and imprisoned because of your activism for democracy and human rights in 1988. You hold a degree in human medicine from the Humboldt University in Berlin, Germany. Following the completion of your postdoctoral fellowship at the prestigious National Institute of Health and the University of Pennsylvania in the United States of America. As a career accomplishment, you invented a rapid multiplex diagnostic test that can detect and identify different infectious diseases such as Ebola, HIV, Zika, malaria, yellow fever virus, hepatitis, to mention a few. Significantly, during the Ebola outbreak, you served on the Joint Data Safety Monitoring Board of WHO USA, West African Ebola Vaccine Clinic trials conducted in Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and the United States. Moreover, you diligently served as director of the Secretariat of the Diaspora Task Force on the Ebola crisis and volunteered your expertise for the benefit of Liberians and other West African nations affected by the outbreak. In this role, you testified before the U.S. Congress and advocated for a sustained and coordinated international support that would lead to the creation of a Center for Disease Control in Africa. In consideration of your profound interest in education, you made a great contribution to the AMWT College of Medicine of the University of Liberia, where you taught medical microbiology as a visiting professor from October 2005 to February 2006. You have become not only Liberia's medical doctor as broadly defined, but also a renowned biomedical research scientist, an inventor, and a political activist. Certainly, you are a pride of Liberia. In recognition of these outstanding achievements in the field of medicine, you have become a member of such professional bodies, including the International Society of Infectious Diseases and the European Society of Clinical Microbiology and Infectious Diseases. Also, you have been cited and received the German Academic Exchange Service Scholar Award, Fogarty International Exchange Scientist Award in 1999, and the Intramural Research Training Fellowship Award in 2001 from the National Institute of Health. Now, therefore, in consideration of your enormous contribution to the cause of humanity, especially people of Liberia, I, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President of the Republic of Liberia, by virtue of the authority in me invested as Grand Master of the Orders of Distinction of the Republic of Liberia, do hereby admit you, Dougbeh Christian, into the Humane Order of African Redemption and confer upon you the grade of Knight Great Band. Wear this insignia with pride and dignity to the glory of God. My congratulations. In Gonia, the World Bank Liberia Country Manager, International Civil Servant, July 26, 2016. We'll now invite her husband, who will be receiving the reward. From 1977 to 1982, and obtained a degree at the undergraduate levels in economics. You subsequently obtained a master's degree in the same field in 1999. In 2000, you participated in the Harvard Executive Development Program. Your public service began in your home country, Latvia, where you worked as a director in the Ministry of Welfare. Your international career commenced with the World Bank in 1993 when you were employed as Senior Operations Officer for the World Bank Latvia Country Office and worked in this position from 1993 to June 1998. From 1998 to 2004, you became country manager in the same office. During this period, you managed and oversaw the bank's portfolio of over US dollars 300 million, implementing projects in agriculture, education, municipal development, transport, and health. Of high importance, you led the team in designing Liberia's pension system, which has been described as one of the most modern and long-term sustainable pension system in Europe. Subsequently, from 2004 to 2007, you served at the World Bank headquarters as Senior Protection Specialist for Europe and Central Asia. You then served as Senior Operations Officer for the Africa region and were based in Angola from July 2007 to September 2008. Immediately thereafter, you were employed by the bank as advisor to the Nordic Baltic Executive Director. However, in this capacity, in addition to giving advice on the World Bank operation policies and procedures in the assigned region, you continue to provide advice on the bank operations in the African region. Consequently, you became country manager for the World Bank Liberia office in 2012 and have ably served in this capacity until 2016 as your tenure comes to an end in July. During your service in Liberia, you led the preparation and implementation of the Liberia Country Partnership Strategy for 2013 to 2017 in order to ensure alignment with government's development agenda and coordination with development partners. Of equal significance, you helped to mobilize our US dollar over US dollar 150 million additional funding to fight the Ebola epidemic. You worked with the government to refocus the investment program to address the post-Ebola recovery needs. The government and people of Liberia are highly cognizant that your service, which has brought an appreciable level of development to this country, is recognized. Now, therefore, in consideration of your contribution to the cause of humanity, and especially the people of Liberia, I, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President of the Republic of Liberia, by virtue of the authority in me vested as Grand Master of the Orders of Distinctions of the Republic of Liberia, do hereby admit you, Mrs. Ingwada Dibraja, into the Order of the Star of Africa and confer upon you the grade of Grand Commander. Wear this insignia with dignity and pride to the glory of God. Accept my congratulations. Posthumous, Dr. Anne Deborah Omarutu, Grandmaster Star of Kai Omarutu, medical doctor, humanitarian, and distinguished public servant of the Republic of Uganda. July 26, 2016. The late Dr. Anne Deborah Atai Omorutu was born on November 22nd, 1956, under the union of I.C. David and Arut Idisa Lucy in Kumi District, Uganda. She attended Kumi Girls School from 1962 to 1968 and matriculated to Gagasa High School from 1967 to 1977, where she completed her high school education. She was a graduate of the Dr. S.N. Medical College in Jodhpur, obtaining a double bachelor in medicine and surgery. She later advanced her studies by enrolling at the Makerere University, acquiring a master's degree in international medicine. She began her professional medical career in 1984 at the Medical Public Health Specialist Research and Academics, and later became the chairperson of the Department of Community Medicine in Malago National Referral Hospital, Uganda. After a period of service in that role, she moved on to become the chairperson of the Department of Family Medicine in Makerere University Medical School, from where she was recruited for her mission in Liberia. Dr. Omoruto arrived in Liberia in July 2014 as leader of a team of 14 physicians as part of the World Health Organization's response to the Ebola outbreak in Liberia, and contributed invaluable expertise to Liberia's effort to contain the virus. Our courageous honoree joined other medical practitioners in Liberia's Ebola fight with an optimistic spirit that inspired many on the front line of the fight. She led the establishment of the John F. Kennedy Medical Center Ebola Treatment Unit and assisted with the training of health workers who had very little or no knowledge of the mutation of the Ebola virus. Later, when the JFK could not respond to the growing demand for beds to treat Ebola-affected patients, Dr. Omoruto responded to the government of Liberia's decision to urgently establish a new ETU at the Island Clinic in Town, Bustro Island. She again led the opening of the Island Clinic ETU and the training of hundreds of nurses and medical practitioners on the protocol for treating and caring for Ebola patients and on personal safety, including doffing of PPEs. Following her distinguished service in Liberia, Dr. Omoruto returned to her homeland, Uganda, in 2015 as a victorious frontline medical practitioner whose contribution to the containment of the Ebola virus in Liberia made significant impact on the restoration of hope to the people of Liberia and the African region. Regrettably, Dr. Omoruto came down with cancer in later 2015 and died on May 5, 2016 at the age of 59. She was the second of 6 siblings and is survived by 5 children: Wamala Francis, Kiai Dorothy Esther Indigo, Arion James Oscar, Atai Elizabeth Mary, and Akar Victoria Ruth. By her demise, the Ugandan people have been deprived of her valuable and professional expertise in the field of medicine and public health, and Liberia a distinguished African servant of humanity. The government and people of Liberia are proud to convey a sense of gratitude for the effective manner in which she conducted herself and carried out her duties in Liberia, for her leadership and contributions toward Liberia's Ebola fight, and for her personal humanitarian contribution to the Liberian society. Now, therefore, in consideration of her enormous contribution to the cause of humanity, especially the people of Liberia, I, Ellen Johnson Shirley, President of the Republic of Liberia, by virtue of the authority in me vested as Grand Master of the Orders of Distinction of the Republic of Liberia, do hereby admit her, Dr. Atia Omoruto, posthumously in the Order of the Star of Africa, and confer upon her the grade of Grand Commander. Thank you. You may have your seats. We invite the
joining diplomatic corps, religious leaders, members of the Traditional Council, special guests, officials of government, former officials of government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is now a tradition that each year on the occasion of the commemoration of the independence anniversary of our republic, that the President, government, and people of Liberia receive messages of good wishes from friendly governments and institutions. On this auspicious occasion of the 169th independence anniversary, it is my pleasure to acknowledge with appreciation messages of facilitation to the President and people of Liberia received from the following heads of state and government, as well as international organizations. His Excellency President Ernest Bai Koroma of the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency President Jacob Zuma of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency President Paul Biya of the Republic of Cameroon, His Excellency President Abdelaziz Bouteflika of the Democratic Republic of Algeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Professor Alpha Conde, President of the Republic of Guinea, His Excellency President Barack Obama of the United States of America, His Holiness Pope Francis, the Vatican City State, His Excellency President Heinz Fischer, the Republic of Austria, His Majesty Philip, King of the Belgians, His Excellency President Francois Hollande of the Republic of France, His Excellency President Michael E. Higgins of the Republic of Ireland, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, His Excellency President Jacqueline Bock of the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency President Milos Zeman of the Czech Republic, His Excellency President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of the Republic of Turkey, His Excellency President Vladimir Putin of the Russian Federation, His Excellency President Pranab Mukherjee of the Republic of India, His Excellency President, President Yoon Lee of the Republic of Korea, His Excellency President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Sir Peter Cosgrove, Governor General of the Commonwealth of Australia, His Majesty King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, from international organization, His Excellency President Marcel A. de Souza, ECOWAS Commission, and from the religious community, Her Excellency Reverend Dr. Marie J. Barnett, Mount Olive Lutheran Church, Dallas, Texas. I thank you.
His Excellency Mr. Abdoulaye Dori, Ambassador of the Republic of Guinea and Doyen of the Diplomatic Corps, who will bring greetings from the Diplomatic Corps.
President, avant de commencer mon propos, je voudrais remercier l'orateur du jour.
Before I start my speech, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to the National Director for today's date.
La découverte qu'il a faite, non seulement est pour le Libéria, mais pour la sous-région aussi, et même de la nation.
The speech will have to extend our thanks for him on behalf of every one of us.
Excellente Madame la Présidente, je voudrais respecter le protocole du jour.
Your Excellency, Madam President, I want to respect the protocol
À l'occasion de la célébration de votre fête nationale, au nom de l'ensemble du corps diplomatique et consulaire, des institutions internationales et à mon nom personnel, je vous adresse mes vœux les plus cordiaux de santé, de prospérité et de nouveaux succès pour le bien-être du vaillant peuple du Libéria.
Your Excellency, Madam President, on the occasions of the celebrations of the independence of your country, on behalf of the diplomatic corps and the consular corps, the international institutions, and in my own name, I wish you a joyous anniversaries, cordial health, prosperity, and a few success for the well-being of the courageous people of Liberia.
Depuis la dernière célébration de la fête d'indépendance, le gouvernement du Libéria, sous votre prévoyance, a posé de nombreux jalons qui ont contribué à l'amélioration de la gouvernance au Libéria en dépit d'un environnement économique international morose.
Since the last celebrations of independence, in spite of this morose international economic environment, the Liberian government, under your foresighted, has contributed to many reforms into the state governance, to mention,
à savoir la mobilisation des fonds dans le cadre du programme Nyan à Ganta, la route 2x2 relais Freeport de Monrovia, la signature avec vos pairs de l'Union du fleuve Mano de plusieurs conventions de financement avec la Banque africaine de développement pour le bitumage de plusieurs routes entre les 4 pays de la Mano. Le démarrage des travaux de barrage du Mont Café, etc.
needed mobilization to raise funds in order to enhance post-Ebola economic program, inaugurations of numerous road infrastructures, which include principal road linking Monrovia with Guinea border through Ganta. The 2 lanes highways between rail lines in the Freeport of Monrovia, the signings of many financial agreements with the African Development Banks, along with your colleagues of the Mana River Union for many road projects between the 4 countries. The commencement of the Mount Coffee Power Plants projects, the name few, etc., etc.
Toutefois, il apparaît que des efforts supplémentaires devraient être consentis par votre gouvernement pour améliorer les autres défis du développement aggravés par la conjoncture économique internationale qui a empêché la réalisation de certains programmes du gouvernement. Mais nous sommes sûrs que ce n'est que partie remise. La moralisation de la société est aussi une bataille qu'il va falloir intensifier.
However, it seems that supplementary effort will be required for your government to improve on other developmental challenges that poses international economic situation, which is hampering some of your government achievements. Nevertheless, we believe this is little, because the public notion is that the struggle will intensify.
Excellence, Madame la Présidente, le corps diplomatique apprécie les travaux réalisés par le système des Nations Unies qui vient d'entamer son retrait progressif. Nous osons espérer que les citoyens libériens sauront sauvegarder l'héritage tout en maintenant la paix définitive. C'est le lieu de remercier le système des Nations Unies et les partenaires bi et multilatéraux qui ont appuyé les efforts du gouvernement libérien.
Your Excellency, Madam President, the diplomatic corps appreciate the work accomplished by the United Nations mission in Liberia, Army, who are gradually withdrawing. We wish that the Liberian citizens will know how to protect the heritage by maintaining definite peace. This is the appropriate forum to congratulate United Nations missions and its bilateral and multilateral partners that supported the Liberian government efforts.
Excellence Madame la Présidente, l'évolution exponentielle de la menace terroriste dans le monde reste un sujet de préoccupation permanente. Le corps diplomatique condamne avec la plus grande fermeté les actes terroristes perpétrés en Afrique et dans le monde entier.
Your Excellency, Madam President, the increase in terroristic threat in the world remains subject of permanent concern for all. The diplomatic corps condemns with strong emotion the terroristic acts perpetrated in Africa and the world as a whole.
Excellence Madame la Présidente, l'année 2017 sera consacrée à l'organisation de plusieurs échéances électorales dans votre pays. Le corps diplomatique suit l'évolution des préparatifs de cette période électorale avec beaucoup d'intérêt. Le souhait du corps diplomatique serait que tout se passe dans le calme, le fair play, dans l'intérêt de la démocratie.
Your Excellency, Madam President, 2017 will be dedicated to the organizing of several electoral processes. The diplomatic corps is watching the evaluations of the preparations of these elections with key efforts. It is the hope of the diplomatic corps to see that this process goes through peaceful and with transparency in the interest of democracy.
Excellente Madame la Présidente, votre élection à la tête de la CEDEAO a été favorablement saluée par le corps diplomatique. À la tête de cette organisation, nous osons espérer aussi que l'un des challenges que constitue le non-implémentation des nombreuses résolutions de l'organisation sera définitivement résolu. En réussissant ce pari, là où certains de vos prédécesseurs n'ont pu faire grand-chose, vous vous inscrivez dans l'annale de l'histoire de cette organisation.
Your Excellency, Madam President, your elections at the head of the ECOWAS has been warmly appreciated by the diplomatic corps. At the head of this organization, we are also hoping that one of the challenges that should be overcome is the numerous unimplemented ECOWAS resolutions by successful achieving of days where many of your predecessors did not do well. You will be putting yourself in the base of this institution's history.
Merci de m'avoir accordé votre attention et une fois de plus, bonne fête, Happy Independence Day.
Thank you for your compliments, precious attention, and once again, happy holiday, happy Independence.
We'll have special selection by Miss Yama B. Willie of the Liberia National Academy of Music, and she will be doing a song, Great Age, Thy Faithfulness.
Military brass, other officials of government, prelates, and members of the clergy, traditional council and chiefs and elders, members of the Muslim community and council present, members of the civil society groups, youth and students, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasing duty and honor to introduce and present to you Her Excellency Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, President of the Republic of Liberia, who will
Thank you, Christopher. 169th Independence Celebration. We applaud this achievement and look forward to more in his future of promise. May I ask that you bring the family? I understand his two young daughters are here. We'd like to be able to have them also represent. Well, at 179 as an independent state versus progress thus far, the choice of an accurate, preferred national team consolidating the progress towards transformation. It tells of a nation of determination and resilience despite continuous vicissitudes. It tells of the consolidation of the existing progress as a foundation for the transformation we all eagerly look forward to. At last year's independence, we celebrated our communities. Over aggressive fight against the Ebola outbreak. We did so in acknowledgement of their role as first responders who selflessly gave their lives in favor of humanity. We did so in recognition of their strength, of the nation's ability to consolidate and make progress. Liberians during those difficult times convinced the world that we could work together, irrespective of social, economic, or political persuasions. Together, we succeeded in overcoming the scourge. We did not only win that battle, but have acquired the requisite skills, techniques, and capabilities to effectively contain any outbreak, as we have successfully done with 2 recorded cases. As we proceed in the path of consolidating the progress towards transformation, Liberians must adopt a new mindset, a new attitude, ignite and imbibe an ingrained sense of patriotism. We must develop love for our country, if indeed we intend to consolidate the progress. On June 20th this year, we marked the historic transfer of security from the hands of UNMIL to the Liberian government. We commend our forces We commend our brave forces who since 2012 have been responding to a gradual drawdown and have stepped forward to fill the void and have kept the peace. We thank you for enabling them to keep the peace. We salute the international community for their role in bringing us thus far and look forward to their continued support as we move ahead to build upon the existing structures which have been established. Fellow citizens, ladies and gentlemen, let us, as Liberians, learn to love our beloved country. Let us develop a sense of culture, of self-pride, and a sense of belonging. There's no one who would carry Liberia forward but Liberians themselves. There's no one that will develop Liberia but Liberians themselves. There's no one that will love Liberia except ourselves. Hold your head high. Praise your country. Praise the progress. Consolidate the progress. For the future belongs to us, and only we can claim it. Enjoy the 26th. We've been blessed. There's sunshine again, another year. Go out and enjoy it. God bless Liberia. God bless
Listen to the joint mass choir as they sing our patriotic medley.
Christ. Thank you.